Hey, what's up? It's Jax from Plastic Action, and you're listening to the world-famous ToyPhotoCast. We are storytellers.
Three, two, one. What's up, everybody? This is another episode of Toy Photocast. This is the Roundtable episode number 2 with Mr. Work More or Less and Scott Bline. What is up, everybody?
Not too much. Just another day, right?
It's another day. What's up, Scott?
Another day.
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Doing good. Glad to get you guys on the show. I know we got some stuff we want to talk about today, but it's just going to be a fun conversation between the two of you and just chatting about everything from Star Wars to toy photography and whatever comes across our minds.
I love it.
So, Jason, you recently got an incredible opportunity to go see the Rise of Skywalker in cinema with some very cool people. Do you want to share exactly what that experience was and how you got to do it?
Yeah, it was pretty wild. It's kind of it could be a long story. I'll try not to keep it. I'll try to keep it brief. But, you guys can kind of just jump in whenever you want. But to go back to the beginning, yes, I was invited by Lucasfilm to the red carpet premiere in LA. And that was December 16th of last year. And what got me there was a submission to the 2018 Star Wars Fan Awards. And that was a little short film that I did using Black Series toys in kind of an homage to like the old Kenner commercials. So it was only I think it's only 12 to 15 seconds long. And but basically had my two boys, they were doing voices, and I had my hands like come into the frame with the action figures and like turn them towards camera. And my kids would say, get to the ship. And then I'd have Han Solo running across, like with my hand, like just running him across, like moving across screen, and the stormtroopers following, and like super tongue in cheek. And
now, is that video out on Instagram now for people to see?
Yeah, it's on Instagram on my account, or if you just search on the Star Wars site for the Star Wars Fan Awards, and then just my name, Jason Yang, Yang, it should pop up. It's called Simple Tricks and Nonsense is what I call it. But yeah, so that ended up, long story short, ended up winning a Spirit of Fandom Award in 2018. And then fast forward to the end of last year, kind of in a roundabout way, that helped myself along with the other winners of the video category to get an invite to the premiere. So on that, I have to thank Raymond Montemayor. He's at Star Wars Stories. You might have seen his stuff along Instagram, but he's one of the other short film directors. He did a short film called The Toys Awaken. I guess it was really long format film, but Toys Awaken, kind of the same thing, like using toys across different, like the Black Series and plush toys and Funko Pops and all that stuff. And it included like his daughters into the narrative, and did some stop motion. It's really, really cool. But I should thank him because he was the one that kind of helped spearhead kind of the interaction with Lucasfilm and we, the other kind of short or the film video directors, to be able to get into the premiere. So it's pretty wild. It kind of all came together. I got an invite a couple weeks, like an official invite in the mail. Is really cool, like a little pop-up card and everything. But that was given to me, sent to me through the mail. And that's when I was like, okay, we're actually doing this. This is for real. Because up to that point, I just didn't know. And Raymond, he wasn't really quite sure. He knew everything. He was interacting with the Lucasfilm fan relations person. You're telling him, okay, you don't need to worry. We're not going to send you like a ticket or anything like that. You just will show up and you'll be on the list. And so we're just all kind of like, okay, I guess that works. So it wasn't until I got that official kind of save the date or you're invited by Lucasfilm when I was like, okay, this is the real deal, and this is actually going to happen. So pretty wild to say the least.
So what's your hot take off of that? Like just a first reaction, going to something that massive as like a Star Wars premiere?
Oh, definitely a lot of hot takes, I suppose. But I think it was really interesting e- leading up to it. I was trying to keep my expectations low because I had no idea if I was going to have any kind of interactions with some of the celebrities and the actors and directors and just other people who were involved in the film. I wasn't quite sure. So I kind of kept my expectations low, but going into it, it blew those out of the water.
Right.
Amazing people I was able to, talk to and take pictures with, which we can talk about later. But being there, you just kind of realize that we're all kind of the same. The celebrities, they're doing their thing. This is their job. They have to walk the carpet. They've got to talk to, do all the little press interviews and talk to people and turn on their smiley faces. I love Star Wars, and then turn it off. And you see kind of behind the scenes of that. And it's just like you recognize, okay, they're just normal people. Some of them don't want to be here. Some of them are not too excited about, having to dress up or, do the pomp and circumstance type stuff. That was just really fascinating. And then outside of that, kind of a Star Wars fan and the experience, being there and the energy was super high, because nobody had seen the film. Not even, I mean, most people hadn't seen the film,
Right.
but just the anticipation of like, oh my gosh, this is the last of the Skywalker saga, as so they say. I should put that in quotations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And being there where it premiered in 1977, and I was in the same theater for the final film. Like, just stopping and thinking about that, like that's a pretty amazing thing. It would have been cool to be, at the Last Jedi premiere, but for this one being the last one, I think it just had a little bit more weight to it, and it was just fun. There was a lot of energy, and it was just fascinating to see how everything was put together. Because your perspective, my perspective, when you see all these things, like if you're streaming on YouTube or whatever, they're trying to make it look the best it can be, and you don't see behind the scenes, you don't see around the corner, or they don't pan the camera to the right where there's a bunch of people, off
Right.
screen, like doing, just managing, and it's just really fascinating. And then bumping into some people that I've met on Instagram, and some hosts of YouTube shows and stuff like that, and just running into people that I am good friends with. It was just a really fun experience, and I still, being there, I was like pinching myself, like this is crazy. You asked me for a pinch me moment. That was definitely one of them.
So like when you're there, is it you can just walk up to anybody and just get a photo with them, or how did that whole interaction work and in like an event like that?
Yeah, if you're familiar, I mean, anybody who possibly, if you saw they streamed it on YouTube, so you could go back and check it out. But the premiere that they were broadcasting on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
there were a couple different areas. So the section that you saw where the fans were kind of on either side, they would walk kind of in between on this, kind of in between fans on left and right, probably 3 or 4 people stacked, like really crammed, between the kind of the aisle and this wall, the backdrop. There's like 4 or 5 people deep, but they were like, cosplayers and people who look good on camera were going to be kind of closer towards the front of those. So this whole area, it was kind of behind and off behind, like a block from the actual theater, one of the theaters, and you would walk kind of between, like in an alley, from that where they started to the middle of Hollywood Boulevard, which was also, there was like a big tent like in the middle of the street that they just blocked off. And from there you could go to either the El Capitan was one of the theaters, and then across the street is the Chinese Theater, and then the Dolby Theater. So those two, basically you would walk and be able to go to whichever theater you were supposed to see the film in. You had like a little badge that was color coded, yellow, red, or blue.
Now,
into
when you
that.
say
First theater.
that
So,
you were kind of pushed off to, not pushed off, but
mhm.
designated for different theaters, do they put you in the same one with like the actors, or were you kind of just in a different one with more like the casual fans or the people who were asked to be there with,
Right.
like the Star Wars fandom?
Right. So I was kind of assuming that the Chinese theater might be the one, but it actually was the Dolby. It's newer. They've got a larger stage kind of in front of the screen. And so that's where the actors and I guess the people of great importance were sitting. And but you could actually, a few people that I was with, some of the other filmmakers that I was with, they like two or three of them were placed in that theater, and then a couple other ones were in the Capitan, and myself and another guy, we were in the Chinese theater. So it was kind of just from what I could tell, I think some of it was random, but I mean, I assume the El Capitan and the Chinese probably had the most. I mean, just fans. But one of the red carpet hosts who was on screen, he was sitting right behind me. So, who knows who everybody was, or where everybody was. But it was really interesting. Again, just seeing like how they ushered people into theaters and just everything that happened before the actual film started.
Was there ever a point that you could like talk to someone and just kind of tell them why you were there? Like, or did people not really know what the reasoning was for your ticket?
Yeah, it's funny because that was kind of the big question. Like, okay, how do you know that I'm just a fan versus I'm somebody who was important, worked on, in the production team or whatever. You didn't know, like, there, unless you had, like, I think there were some that were, maybe some were green, and that might have been more like the production crew,
Mm-hmm.
but everybody had the same looking little badge, like on a lanyard. So it was either yellow, red, or blue, and it was just all mixed up. So that actually allowed you to kind of just, if you like, what I did towards the end, as I kind of just walked around, I had left where I was supposed to be and just kind of walked around while they were doing, like, the actors were going around talking to all the press, just kind of strolling by, and it's kind of funny. But yeah, I'll back up just
Mm-hmm.
so that space where they were doing a lot of the photos and where they were broadcasting from the Star Wars show stage, doing that live, that was offset, like I was saying, offset a block from Hollywood Boulevard. And so it was this gigantic tent they covered. I mean, it was huge. And there were like there was like a balcony level where you can actually go up there and look down. But on the kind of in the middle section is where they had the stage, a Star Wars stage, and it was looking towards one of the ends where there was like 3 X-wings that were hanging up, kind of fairly large model X-wings, like they're pretty big. And then if you looked up, like top of the tent, everything was blacked out, but they had like these lights, so it looked like stars. And I mean, everything just felt very Star Warsy. They had the blue carpet instead of red carpet, which kind of threw off a couple of my toy photos that I did in preparation for it. But I was like, that's okay, that's okay. Yeah. So then the actors would walk down that aisle I was telling you about, and then from there they would hit the back of the Star Wars stage, and they would either have to go left or they'd have to go right around the stage. And then from there, they could, get on stage, do an interview, go towards the X-wings, or go right or left further out where there was kind of another division, and the press was kind of lining those kind of outer walls. So I was placed. We were taken to be corralled in that space where the aisle was, and I was on one of these sides. But I was kind of at the end, like around the corner. So as the actors would get to the end of that and they had to get to the stage and either go left or right, they would stop there for like, maybe 5, 10, 15 seconds. And their handlers would say, oh, we need to go do this, or we need to come this way or that way. And so that gave myself and the guys I was with an opportunity to just get their attention and say, hey, do you mind if we get a quick picture? And it's crazy. You can go on my Instagram and see my stories, my highlights, just some of the people that I got got to take photos with and actually talk to. Um, it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy.
You got to talk to, well, from what I look like seeing on your Instagram, you said that you got to see Bob Iger, you got to see J.J. Abrams, you got to see
Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni. Who else did you get to see?
Let's see. Daniel Logan, so young Boba Fett. He was one of the first guys that I was able to kind of talk to. It was funny because I met him before at Comic-Con a couple years ago. I was with a couple of other friends who were Boba Fett fan club and White Boba Fett on Instagram. They were kind of doing some video stuff with him. And so I was with him and said, hey, and that was about the extent of that. And when I saw him at the premiere, I was like, hey, Daniel, how's it going? He looked at me, he's like, dude, how you been? I was like, I don't think we're that close. You're not even following me. I don't think you know who I am. But he pretended like he recognized me. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, so Daniel Logan, Dave Filoni, he came by a couple times. First time he just kind of said, hey, got a picture. And then afterwards, as he was kind of wandering around, he stopped and one of the other, Raymond, I think, he said, hey, introduced us and said we did the Star Wars, we're winners from the video portion of the Star Wars Fan Awards. And Dave Filoni was like really interested, and he's like, oh, that's awesome. He was supposed to be one of the like kind of the judges for that.
Oh, really?
So at least he had a little bit of idea what we were talking about. And so, yeah, we talked to him for, maybe 2 to 5 minutes. And I'm trying to remember exactly what he said, but he was the kindest guy. I mean, he was so appreciative of what we do as fans. And, I think is kind of inspired by it too. But that was pretty fun to actually get. Probably talked to him for the kind of the longest amount of time. But yeah, I mean, everybody was. I don't think there was anyone that seemed kind of off-putting other than like Mark Hamill. He didn't talk to anybody. He just walked right past us.
Oh, really?
Somebody tried to get his attention. He was like, he was just grumpy. So
that's hilarious.
So he wasn't giving the fans any attention whatsoever, huh?
Not really. Not
That's
really.
I
think he's just kind of done. He's been doing it for so long.
Well, yeah, we're now like 40 years, over 40 years.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah. So James Arnold Taylor, the voice actor for Obi-Wan: The Clone Wars, he's most known for, but he's done a ton of other voices. Let's see. Ashley Eckstein, of course, Ahsoka Tano, voice actor. She was kind. She even dressed up like she has like this orange like suit that she looked good, but then she had like a scarf that was kind of the blue and white, so she looked like Ahsoka. It's pretty funny. Mm-hmm. And then one of my favorites was Ian McDiarmid. He stopped and got a picture with the Emperor.
He's so gracious, man. Like he comes to Comic-Cons a lot.
Oh man, he was so kind. I mean, I was expecting when I was trying to be very, very kind and like, calling them everybody by their last name, Mr. or Mrs. And everybody was just willing to stop and take a picture. And like you said, they were just kind. And I think they recognize what it means to be like in Star Wars or be recognized as part of Star Wars. At least the smart ones, I think, recognize that, see them.
Yeah.
The weight of that. Let's see, J.J. Abrams. And then, so towards the end, I got to give a couple shout outs. So Michael Canavo, he's one of the hosts of Rex and Around, and that's a show on YouTube. And it's really great. It's great discussion. A guy named Taylor and Greg, they sit and they talk about Star Wars fandom. They do cosplay, or at least have in the past. Really great show. He was there too. I got to meet him, and he was with another guy named Garrett Watts, who's a huge Instagram guy. And he's got like 3-something million followers. Crazy. They were walking around like they were celebrities. I'm like, wait a second. Why are you out here? How did you get on the, why are you walking the carpet? He's like, dude, we're just walking around. Like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, look at your badge. It's exactly like ours. It's the same thing. Nobody cares. Just come out. I'm like, really? And
that's hilarious.
It took me a minute. And I realized, you know what? This is the only time I'm going to be here. I'm just going to do it. So they
mustered the courage.
Yeah, they inspired me to just say, all right, I'm peacing. And at that point, was able to walk around and yeah, I mean, just strolled around. And
So you were a celebrity here for at least 15 minutes. You had your fame.
I don't know if I had my fame or if I was a celebrity, but I was there for 15 minutes at least.
You got to see, on your stories, I saw you got to see BB-8. Was that the actual like film
Yeah.
used BB-8?
I think it was one of the versions.
Wow.
What was incredible about that, so where I was located, I was kind of able to kind of move around, and I wasn't stuck in between all the people. And so, or like stuck against the wall and the railing, like many people were. So I was kind of around the corner, and what was awesome is they would do their little thing on the stage, and then they would go towards the X-Wings and then go to the left and right, and then go back down the opposite way to talk to the press. And I saw, Chewbacca came by, and then I saw BB-8 and Dio, and I talked to the person who was kind of one of the attendants or the guards there, and I said, "Hey, do you mind if I just kind of come over next to you, and I want to, take some video and show my kids?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, of course." I mean, they don't care either.
What?
They're just there. That's their job. She's like,
That's
"Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, that's fine." And so I kind of stepped over towards there, got down on the ground, kind of on my knees, and was just taking video. And he was away, but he started rolling towards me, and then he came right up to me and was talking to me. The video is cool. Like that was probably the best celebrity interaction, I would say, while I was there. But yeah, he came by and was beeping, and it was cool. I think they probably realized, oh wait a second, this guy isn't anybody. We need to go to the next person. But that was pretty amazing. My kids.
So I have to ask, man, did you get to meet Billy D?
I didn't get to meet him, but I was 5 minutes, or not 5 minutes, 5 feet from him. He was doing some.
You know what? That's good enough for me.
He looked good. He looked good.
He looked great in that movie, man.
No, he was fantastic. Yeah.
Oh my God. So let's talk about your kind of reaction to seeing the film that night. Like, what initially did you think about it? Did you enjoy it? What was the experience after you left the theater?
I mean, obviously, it's hard to say that being there for that experience didn't kind of cloud a little bit. Not cloud, but didn't add to my overall feeling. Right. I mean, it was just, I was amped. It was amazing. And so seeing it there under the circumstances after meeting a bunch of, the celebrities and stuff, it was just, oh man, I was excited. So coming out of the theater, I immediately was just like, wow, that was a breakneck pace film and a lot of action and a lot going on. And I had fun with it. So, I mean, there were a lot of things that I wasn't quite sure, just thinking through, okay, well, are they going to redeem Kylo? Is the Emperor really going to be in it? How much, is he going to be a physical form or just like kind of a voice? All these questions going into it, which I tried to stay away from spoilers this time around. But all these thoughts in my head, like, are they going to, ship Ben and Rey and all this other stuff? Some of those things I was like, oh man, if they do that, I'm probably not going to like it. But they ended up doing a lot of those things, and I just came out saying, you know what, that works. That's fine. Like, there are ways that I think it could have been done differently, would have been interesting. But I had fun. It was a good film. There were a lot of great beats. There were some things that I was not too excited about. But again, my outlook is always like, I just enjoy Star Wars, and I think we're fortunate to get what we get. And there's always going to be things that are going to be great, and always things that are going to be not so great. So it's just really your outlook. Like, I can sit here and I can complain or say they should have done it my way, but that's not really going to change anything. So, but all in all, I thought it was fun, and I've seen it a couple times since that first viewing, and I still think it's a good film. It's not my favorite, but I still enjoyed it. So
what do you guys want to? I want to see what your thoughts are on this, but what do you think about how the critic score compares to The Last Jedi? Like, I'm looking at Rotten Tomatoes right now, and it's 52% for the Rise of Skywalker versus like a 93% for The Last Jedi. Why do you think there was such a drastic change for this movie versus The Last Jedi?
What do you think, Scott?
Well, off the top of my head, That score actually surprises me, and I get it that people don't like this movie, and like the last podcast, the group chat or roundtable we had, I had some complaints. I still enjoyed the movie, and I know like on your ToyPhotoCast feed, there was some comments, but like I did enjoy the movie, but like The Last Jedi for me, that was one that I just wasn't into at all. I had a lot of difficulties with that movie. It just seemed a little like too goofy for me. There's too much comedy. And this one I liked a lot better. So the 52 really doesn't make much sense. Now I know, like I kind of seen that this one was scored either just as bad or just rated just as poorly, or like right around the Phantom Menace, and I don't see that at all. I that this is significantly better than that. It honestly, it doesn't really make much sense to me, like why this one was scored so badly. Other than, I mean, I could see like why people would complain about the Emperor coming back, and kind of like it almost seemed like it just didn't seem like a well thought out plan to just make her like a Palpatine. I don't, I don't know if they really had any answers for that. They just kind of used that as kind of a let's fill in the gap, and hopefully, people will buy it. But I mean, cinematography wise, I thought it was very good. I thought all the locales were very good and interesting. I thought the acting was very good. They did a lot of really nice things with Carrie Fisher, and like Leia's kind of the finality of like that storyline. So yeah, honestly, man, that one doesn't really make much sense to me. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think it's always hard to know with scores. I mean, just like with anything, like you don't know who exactly is who in general, like who all is going to participate in the scoring or the ranking. I mean, I know it's kind of open, and there's a lot of like it's legitimate, right? But it's hard for me, even with like news outlets or like the reviews that came out right after the film. Some of those people are going to have agendas, like they need to get people to get eyes on their content so they can make money. So sometimes it might be better to be very divisive, very, I don't know. I just don't, I kind of take those things kind of with a grain of salt. But it's hard to know exactly who it all represents, like all those different scores. And because I've heard from both sides, I don't know. It's all over. So
I was just curious what you guys thought, because when you look at the audience score on The Rise of Skywalker, it's a staggering 86% is positive. And then when you look at The Last Jedi, it's like 43% audience score. So like the audience loved The Rise of Skywalker versus in a general statement. And then like The Last Jedi, like generally did not like the Last Jedi. So, but then you look at the critics, it's 91% for Last Jedi and then 52 Rise of Skywalker. It's like nobody can kind of agree on whether or not they like it or not as a whole. But
well, I will say, I think Jason makes a good point. We definitely live in an age where being pro any topic doesn't really generate the clicks as much as being anti. And with this one, I think, coming off of The Force Awakens, which generally had a pretty strong opinion. I mean, there were the tired kind of critique that it was the exact same movie as A New Hope, whatever. But it really, I mean, for the most part, it was, people were pretty high on it. And then like The Force Awakens, I know like a lot of the people that that I work with, and like people that grew up with Star Wars, really hated the way Disney was taking this, and hated The Force Awakens, and refused to go see like The Rise of Skywalker, or just were not having it. So I think like coming out of The Force Awakens, there was probably a lot of The Last Jedi, there was probably a lot of immediate responses like, oh, this is really cool, this is great. And then as time kind of settled in, people like, got to take their punches at the movie. It kind of became this very stereotypical kind of general parlor over the entire franchise, in the way, and not saying I have this opinion, but a lot of people were very down on Kathleen Kennedy. And so maybe you have a lot of people just coming in here going, didn't even see the movie, or just came in with the mindset that I'm not going to enjoy this film,
Yeah.
and then could find everything that they weren't going to like about it and focused on those.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because I just noticed this, and this is the last thing I'll say on this topic before I transition to another. But the amount of user ratings for The Last Jedi was 217,000 versus Rise of Skywalker, which is only 94,000. So like 100,000 more rated on The Last Jedi. And I think you hit the nail on the coffin right there about hate does sometimes garner a lot more clicks, and sometimes that can just bring people, I guess, what am I trying to say here? I think at the end of the day, what I think this franchise, the sequel trilogy is going to do is it's going to age really well. I think as we let it sink in, kind of like the prequels, a lot of people have grown to love the prequels. I think the sequel trilogy is going to age really well. And a lot of our questions and frustrations that even people had back with the original trilogy are probably going to fizzle out, and just learn to realize, okay, we're getting content that we've wanted for a long time. And it's really well done. Like you said, the cinematography, the locales, the action. And is it a perfect movie? Of course not. You can't make a perfect movie. I don't think it's possible with that big a budget, to make a perfect movie and that many hands in it. But yeah, we got what we got, and it's going to age. I personally think it's going to age really well. But
yeah, we'll see. I think the biggest thing, just going back, and now the sequel trilogy is complete. I think the biggest detriment is that you had JJ start, and then Ryan in the middle, and then Colin Trevorrow originally. You're going to have 3 separate directors, so each one was uniquely going to kind of have its own flavor. And then JJ ended up doing Rise of Skywalker. So in a sense, it kind of feels like, just kind of on surface level, like it's JJ's trilogy, but Rian Johnson took the middle film. There's just the tone and the voice, they're just different. So when you're looking at them, all 3 of them, and I guess the same could be said for the original trilogy, but with kind of different directors and things. But they just, I think the flow kind of it feels weird. And I think after Last Jedi and Disney, Lucasfilm, they had to look at what people were saying and make sure that they landed it on the third one in general. And so I think a lot of it is has to go back to, okay, how are we going to please the audience? And what do we do? How do we make the best film that's going to be the most successful, regardless of what the story, what we think the story should do, what's going to get people back into it. I personally, I know you and I, Dakota, we've talked about it. I loved what The Last Jedi did. I liked that it subverted my expectations and actually pushed the boundaries a little bit. And so some of the things that were done there, I felt like there was a lot of potential to grow in that direction. But with the way the Rise of Skywalker went, I felt like some of those strands were kind of snipped, or we couldn't continue to see okay, well, anybody can kind of be one with the Force, and without being of royal blood or something.
Right.
They kind of did it with Finn and Janna and all that, but it would have been cool to see them do that a little bit further. But again, it's just, I think that's just having the juxtaposition of having 2 completely different directors and trying to tell one whole story within a trilogy. It's just going to cause issues, and it has. So either way, if you like one or the other, it's just not going to be as cohesive. But
right. I think they kind of took the approach as they did with Marvel, in the sense of trying to use different directors and bring in different voices. And you're right. It's like, it does kind of feel like Rian Johnson had his little say in the middle, and it's JJ's trilogy, but that wasn't originally what was planned. And so as things progress and as they move into new territory, I hope that they kind of stick with one director's vision for if they do another trilogy arc, or if they move away from that kind of storytelling. So it'll be interesting to see what they do from now, because a lot of from the rumors, what we're hearing is they're going to go back before all of the Empire and kind of go into the Old Republic stuff. So that'll be cool to see what's next.
Yeah, I think that's probably best. I think honestly, I think the fandom needs to get away from Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to, just like with Mandalorian, I think that's been so successful because it kind of lives in that space, but it's its own thing. And you're introducing new characters. Actually, the sequel trilogy does that with new characters, but they're all still tied into the same story. So I think it's just going to make it, it's going to be much easier for them to push new content. And I think it'll be more well received. But, we'll see. It's Star Wars fans. We're like the worst type of fans in all of fandom.
We're so passionate.
Yeah. Some people are passionate. Some people are other. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, we are getting an Obi-Wan series too, so we're still going to be in that sandbox of the Skywalker trilogy. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what I think along the same tone of Mandalorian, or even for me, Rogue One, I thought worked really, really well. I mean, that would have been really cool. I'm glad it was a film, but even as a series, that could be cool. Just that time frame. So yeah, I'm anxious to see if they do the Cassian K2 show. I've kind of heard that it's that it's still a go, or I heard that it was maybe put aside, or I don't really know. Hopefully we still get that, because I think there's a lot of really great potential there.
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of one I definitely want to see. That I really enjoyed that movie and would like to learn more about that character. So the Obi-Wan actually scares me, and it's not that I don't think it's going to be good. I think like you said, like the Mandalorian kind of exists in its own space. There were no expectations. You had kind of a vague idea of who the Mandalorians were. But really, I mean, other than in comic books, in brief appearances in like the movies, there's not much there. Maybe in like Rebels,
Clone Wars.
Well,
Clone Wars was kind of biggest.
But you're not. But like a lot of people I know, like a lot of people haven't watched the Clone Wars, or like Disney, the Rebels show, or don't read the comic books. They really just watch the movie. So that in itself is kind of like exists in its own pocket. Like, but Obi-Wan, I mean, he's such a transcendent figure, and there's kind of been this, everyone loves Obi-Wan. I haven't met anyone who does not like Obi-Wan. Ask a random person out there who's Obi-Wan Kenobi, and even if they don't know Star Wars, they're like, oh yeah, that's that guy from Star Wars. Yeah. So like a show dedicated to Obi-Wan, I don't see how it's going to be able to fulfill everyone's hopes. And that's what kind of scares me, is that they're just, no matter what they do, unless it's like out of this world amazing, people are going to come out and going, nah, it's not that good, or I'm not really enjoying it, or whatever. Because how do you fulfill everyone's their high expectations, and like everyone's kind of bringing something into that show that they're going to want to see.
Yeah.
And kind of like these Star Wars movies, is that it's going to be tough to meet, everyone's expectations.
Yeah. Which is impossible, right?
I think just kind of just came to me now, like if we had kind of like oh gosh, I forgot the guy's name now, but who's the guy, the head over Marvel? What's his name?
Oh, Kevin Feige.
If we had a Kevin Feige overseeing, like that kind of like passionate fan overseeing all of Star Wars, like kind of like maybe if Dave Filoni was able to like move up the ranks and kind of oversee all of the content, maybe like just the overall like storytelling would be more, I wouldn't even call it fan servicey, but like just would appease more of the mass population more than trying to have certain things they're trying to hit on in these individual movies. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've heard that there's rumors of Kevin Feige working with Disney and with Star Wars or / Lucasfilms about developing, or at least doing some Star Wars storytelling in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
That was reported like last September, I believe. So, I mean, I think that's got potential. But yeah, I feel like they've, the story group, they've got a good group of people there. And obviously what we see on film, it's a lot of is the director's vision for it. But as far as just kind of like the story group and what they're doing, and I feel like it's pretty good. It's just a matter of, I guess, how you translate that to screen. But
I'm not saying it's not. Like, I'm just saying from like the perspective of what Feige has done over at Marvel, and like to kind of have that overarching theme, like you said, is like when we got the sequel trilogy, it kind of felt like it was just installments from different visions of different directors. But like, even though Marvel has different directors and different visions for individual movies, like when you see a Marvel movie, it all fits into that cinematic universe. And like in Star Wars, sometimes it doesn't feel like it feels Star Wars, but it doesn't feel like it fits. Like when I watch the sequel trilogy, I feel like I'm watching something completely different when I'm watching The Mandalorian. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like the tone is different. Like I feel like, I guess I'm not I'm not coming against and critiquing. Like, I'm just saying, what if like we had someone like Filoni who could mastermind all of it and be able to kind of make it more cohesive, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
But you also have to kind of separate yourself from what you're saying, because I mean, Thor Ragnarok is completely different from Thor Dark World or from Guardians or from Winter Soldier. Like, they all have their own tone. And I think that is interesting, but they're able to focus on the individual character lines, and they have their own like quality and own aesthetic. And it works because I think they they spent the time to build the characters in their own kind of movie line, like arcs, and then bring them together kind of slowly. Because when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy was like the first movie that felt like completely different and didn't really, I was like, how are you going to bring this together with Avengers? But they did it, and they stayed true to like the tone, and somehow were able to kind of over time marry all these different characters and different aesthetics and themes, and they were able to do it because they kind of took the time to earn that. I think with Star Wars, it's like everything is kind of, it's almost like it's the same universe, so everything has to work well together, otherwise it doesn't work. It just has that kind of going against it. But
I agree.
I don't know.
I think, well, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I just want everybody to be on the same page.
All right.
I think that's really what the heart of what my argument is. Like, I love it when the fandom comes together and rejoices over like content like The Mandalorian, because then there's nobody out there who's, at least from what I saw, was like unhappy with it. Like, everybody was extremely pleased, and the Baby Yoda phenomenon was awesome, and just being able to celebrate Star Wars is so enjoyable versus having to defend Star Wars.
Yeah, I think Mandalorian came at the right time. You know what I mean? But
yeah, totally.
No, I would agree with that. Yeah, I think Mandalorian actually is, which is another thing that kind of gets back to this whole Rise of Skywalker. The lower scores is that the Mandalorian, I think, seemed to really reinvigorate the fan base and get people all excited about Star Wars again. Great show, and I guess if we kind of get back to kind of, sorry to circle back, but Star Wars to me is like, I love the movies, I absolutely love the movies, but it does seem to really work on this episodic format with like the cartoons and like this, how the Mandalorian, like these 30 to 40 minute shows where if you didn't like something, you don't have to dwell on it for years.
Right.
You can just kind of move along to the next episode and get totally geeked out because it was like 40 minutes of like pure adrenaline. So maybe that's the way to go. I hate to say like maybe movies aren't where it's at because obviously they're going to keep doing them because they make a lot of money. But man, like it just seems to work so well on like this 30 to 40 minute format.
Yeah, I think that definitely is where it's going to head because I mean, if you just break it down from like a business standpoint, Disney needs people on their streaming platform. It's cheap, and you've got all in a sense like Star Wars or Marvel can be kind of like the gateway drug, and then open up to other content. I mean, they've got National Geographic. There's a lot of stuff that my kids are watching there. Or Jeff Goldblum's got his own show. Like there's all this original content they're building, but they can use Mandalorian to bring people in. And so I think if they continue to do more stuff on their streaming service, one, it's going to be cheaper. I mean, I can't wait to see, because everything I've heard about the production of Mandalorian and using, in a sense, kind of like digiorama backgrounds. You've got like these big sound stages where it's just this gigantic 360 screen, and they're projecting a 3D environment in the space. And the actors may just have, like, I think from what I heard, I think Dominic Pace, one of the actors, like one of the bounty hunters in Mandalorian, in one of I think it was a Steel Wars podcast, he was being interviewed, and he was talking about, he stepped into that room, and basically where the Werner Herzog character, the client, in his little office, there's like a desk, and then there's stormtroopers kind of around. He was saying like that entire room was basically projected onto the screen.
Oh, wow, that's incredible.
And so they used, like with ILM's like technology they were developing, like Jon Favreau used some of this for like his previous, like Lion King and some other things. But basically you could take the camera, and what the camera sees is basically the 3D environment that they're projecting on that screen. So as the camera moves around, like if you're in the room, you're staring at the screen, you're seeing what the camera's perspective is seeing. So it might be very disorienting if the camera's like panning left or right, because it's not the same perspective that you're looking at where you are in space. But from the camera can move around, and it will adjust what that perspective from the camera, what it should see on the screen, the 360 screen. And it's going to look like its actual physical set.
No
so
way.
Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff. I hope they start sharing now that Mandalorian's over, like just behind the scenes content. But what that does is it makes production that much faster and that much probably more profitable. They don't have to build all these entire sets. A lot of the stuff they can do just on that stage. So what that means is, like, if they're able to make it more efficient to produce those types of shows where it's got that grand kind of feel like on the big screen, but you're only spending $10 million an episode, or maybe not that much. I don't know what the full budgets were. Let's just say $100 million for a series. You're not having to promote that as much as you would like trying to get people in the theaters. There's just so many things that you can kind of keep costs down with doing it and having it directly on your own streaming service, and people will have to come to you to see it. I don't know. I think that's probably like what you're saying, Scott. I think that's where it's going to end up going. They'll probably still do theatrical releases for some things, but I think we're going to really start seeing that push towards it being like on their streaming service. But
wow,
we'll see.
That's amazing. Just kind of wrapping it up and putting a nice bow on the topic of your experience going to go see the premiere. Just tell everybody what your overall thoughts were. And I know a lot of people out there, myself included, were very jealous. But who just tell everybody exactly like what kind of that experience is like. Did you leave feeling energized, or did you leave feeling like, oh, this was exhausting? And kind of just summarize, I guess, for the listeners.
Yeah, I think from just the experience of being at the red carpet event, being at the theater, like I said earlier, like it was just so much fun, surreal and exciting to just be a part of that moment. That most people, like, is their first experience seeing the film. I mean, the world premiere in LA. Never thought I'd be able to say that I was there, or was at any kind of red carpet event. It was it's like I said, it's still surreal. Like going back and looking at pictures, I'm like, man, I was actually there. And seeing, seeing it in the context of like watching the YouTube stream of the premiere. I was going back and I found myself kind of in the background, like just like popping up here and there. But just seeing it from that perspective as it being like a broadcast, it's like it just has a different feel when you're actually there in the moment around all the people. It was really cool. I think also just, it was before Christmas and being able to kind of go to LA for that experience, but also meeting other friends. So buddy Alex Backus is Stephen Ellis from the Black Series Rebels YouTube show. They were there. Alex actually, when I went there Friday night, he and I met up, walked around kind of that area, went to Scum and Villainy, met some other guys there, like all the filmmakers from the video that we all met there. John Hoey, Lacey Gillerin from the Resistant podcast, they were there as well. I got to really just spend more time in community with some of these people and get to know them better. And then also Black Series, Isaiah Takahashi and Jax Navarro, Plastic Action, was able to meet up with them and like have meals with them. I think for me, at the end of the day, just like what we've talked about with doing toy photography on Instagram, it really is all about community. It's all about being able to be with other like-minded people. Sharing the experience of what we find, what we love and what we have in common, Star Wars or toy photography. That's great, but also just getting to know them like as people, who they are, what drives them, being inspired by one another. So for me, I would say the experience of being there in LA, meeting up with all those guys, talking to them, hanging out around kind of the Star Wars hype, just made that much more enjoyable. So if I would have gone and didn't know anybody, it would have been like, okay, this is cool. I shouldn't be here. But it just made the experience that much sweeter. So
that's awesome, dude.
I feel pretty blessed. It's pretty crazy just thinking back and talking about it now. But
I mean, I think I've said this before, but I couldn't have picked any better person to represent the community than you.
Dude.
Just your level of professionalism. I honestly would have been freaking out. Like if I would have been at the premiere, I would have been that dude.
Well, actually, man, that's kind of one question I wanted to ask. I was like, man, did you actually eat before you went to this thing? Because I would have been the same way. I would have been like flipping out that I was going to go see like all these actors and J.J. Abrams and whatnot.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually, so that morning, Zay came and we had coffee. I guess it was like around 11 o'clock or something. And we hung out for a good portion of the afternoon. After that, we went and met up with Black Series Rebels, Alex and Steven, and then John from the Resistance podcast. We went to a taco place, and they were like, it's a hole in the wall. Oh gosh, I forgot what it was called. Anyway, we went there and had some tacos that were, it was Yuca's, just this little taco stand. And we had tacos, it was probably like 2 or something like that. So that was really the only thing I ate. I think you made sure I stayed hydrated, thanks to D Amazing, before then. But yeah, I mean, I knew that they had food afterwards. So yeah, I should say at like the after party, once the movie was over, like on Hollywood Boulevard, when they had they blocked that off, they had a bunch, like this giant tent that just covered the whole street and all these cool displays and stuff. And they had a ton of food and a bunch of promotional type things there. So I was definitely had enough food towards the end of the night. But yeah, Scott, I was making sure I didn't get too uncomfortable and feel sick or queasy, like meeting people or freaking out on things. So
wow, that's so cool, man.
I just imagine in a similar situation, I probably would have been like wiping my sweaty hands on my pants.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was trying to be kind of cognizant of that, like making sure that if I was going to shake someone's hands, I was doing that, so it didn't, like I wasn't clammy, because it got pretty hot in that room, just with it being enclosed, and there were just a lot of people, and I had on a kind of a nice like sports jacket with a Star Wars T-shirt on, and some nice jeans and nice shoes. So I tried to look the part. I didn't want to look like a cosplayer or like a fan filmmaker.
You went like all 90210. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, dude. Got to.
You went all branded.
Yeah,
Well,
it
dude,
was so fun. It was so fun.
I think that's a perfect place to stop it right there, man. And for anybody that like thinks that's unattainable, all Jason did was just put in a submission for the Star Wars Fan Awards. So you never know what can happen when you're passionate about your hobby and you're passionate about your craft. And Jason just man, it's awesome to be able to see you get to do stuff like that. So I can't wait to see what's next on your agenda.
Yeah, I don't know if I can really top that. No, but kind of to your point real quick, like it was fun going and also kind of like you said, representing the community. I did feel like, hey, I want to share this experience with everyone who was even interested in following, like with my stories and all that. I just wanted to post more, but I also wanted to be in the moment. But yeah, that was another thing. I was like, man, I really want everybody to also, in a sense, kind of feel this experience through my experience. Just kind of get an idea of what it was like. So I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I hope everybody else did and weren't too jealous. I was kind of self-conscious about that. I was like, man, I don't know why is it me? But I was like, I'm here. I'll take it. It was
You're the chosen one.
So I just watched the video, your submission, and one, it's incredible, fantastic. So well deserving. But man, congratulations. Quite an honor and definitely well deserved, man.
Well, I appreciate that. That really means a lot. It really does.
Well, everybody, let the listeners know where they can connect with you on social media if they're not already.
Yeah, so if you want to check out Work More or Less on Instagram or workmoreorless.com, I've got some behind the scenes shots. I've got some other blog posts and tutorials and things like that. You can check that out. And then also if you wanted to reference some of the photos or images from my blue carpet premiere experience, you can go check on my story highlights on Instagram as well.
Awesome. Go ahead, Scott.
On Instagram, Scott.Bline, and on the SH Figure Arts fans page, that's FANZ, for all your figure arts goodness. Other than that, I mean, Facebook, but I'm never on there. So really, if you want to contact me, I think Instagram's the way to go.
And speaking of your SH Figure Arts fans page, we are doing a giveaway very soon, also combining my 112 Collective feature page. So check out both of our pages. There's going to be a huge giveaway for 3 figures. One person will be able to win. And yeah, check it out. Wow. It's coming. We're going to announce that tomorrow. So
it's going to be pretty awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Man, I'm looking forward to that.
You can find me at Dagobah_days. You can find the ToyPhotoCast podcast at ToyPhotoCast on Instagram. You can find the Mezco page at 1.12.collective. And we are now also featured on xcluecollective.com, aka Xclue Magazine on Instagram. So all of the future podcasts will now be listed on the website. So big thanks to Jack Sturman over at Xclue. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Love it.
And everybody, we always say at the end of this, we are storytellers. So get out there, tell your story, shoot some toys, have some fun, be a part of this amazing community. Tag us, send us messages. We love to connect with you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you at the next episode. Peace.
Cheers.
Later, guys.